Hello, and welcome to this fall open house presentation from the Psychology Department here at the University of Windsor. My name is Dr. Ken Kramer, and I will be your host for this presentation. At any point in the presentation, you may pause and rewind and listen to this as many times as your heart desires. I really couldn't imagine a better time to be getting involved in psychology. And here's why. There was a recent study that was comparing generational differences. So looking at your generation in particular, you're the Gen Z, or sometimes called the iGen. And when they compare that to the previous millennials, or the Gen Y, Gen X, the baby boomers, and even before them, the silent generation, there's differences here and there. Like one of those in particular is on saving money. Your generation, mine too, not so good at saving, right? We're debtors. But living through a depression left an indelible mark on boomers and silent. So there's differences between the generations, to be sure. But the key difference on a particular item, a single item, that showed a vast difference for your generation, for the iGens, for the Gen Zs, were miles ahead of everybody else on this single item. And that item was this: do you want to help people? And you do. You do. You scored the highest from all the generations. You score highest on wanting to help people. And that's why you're here. That's why you have elected to take psychology. So welcome. All these famous people have in common the fact that they were psychology majors. It's true. We're not really proud of the Ted Bundy, but you got your Jon Stewart, you got movie producer Jerry Bruckheimer, Gloria Stefan, right? Big names. And this is where they all went to school. And as such, you can see people blossom into a number of different directions with a psychology degree. And every person who takes psychology will use it. I guarantee they use it in the course of their life. So let me start out by telling you a little bit about who we are and what we do. Psychology studies the mind, the brain, and behavior in a variety of contexts, including the environment, social settings, and even the biological domain. There are two introductory courses, Psych 1150 and Psych 1160, that give you a sample of the possible areas of study within our discipline. And these become the prerequisites for all other psychology courses. To give you an idea of where we are is to show you where we have been. We're a relatively new discipline, just over 150 years old, but we have very old parents. They decided to make a family late in their lives, but we come from all the way back to questions sprouting out from ancient Greece, ideas about how knowledge can be acquired, nature of mind, nature of ethics. And that would later join with another old parent, that being natural sciences. This was using a particular system and toolbox to get at the nature of the nervous system, our senses, learning, behavior, development, everything. So the fusion or confluence of those two parents will give us modern psychology, applying scientific methods and tools to address those old questions. That gives us our modern discipline. Now this picture, which won the 2003 National Geographic Best Picture, out in the real world, shows a diver in a naval exercise off of the coast of South Africa, climbing desperately out of the water to avoid the breaching of this great white shark. And it was a psychologist, actually a team of animal psychologists, who looked at this picture and said, that wouldn't happen. There is no way a great white would breach out of the water to intercept a diver with a helicopter overhead, stirring up the water as it would. And so they took a closer look, and sure enough, it had been photoshopped. But it was using the tools of critical reason and asking questions and looking for evidence that prompted psychologists to declare this picture fabricated. So that will be the essence of what you want to take away from the degree and the education that you acquire through psychology. Psychology spends a good deal of time talking about the brain, still one of the most mysterious objects in this universe. But you don't have to look very far for an ostrich's brain. Right there, smack in the middle of its head, smaller than its eyeball. That's right. A starfish on the left side has no brain. None at all. And the octopus on the right side is nothing but brains. Each tentacle has its own brain, each monitored and regulated by a central brain. So the brains go to the octopus. If you were looking for a Halloween costume and you weren't sure what to pick, you could always disguise yourself as a neuron, right? As these people have done. Or you could dress all in red and go as a hemogoblin. The human brain weighs about 3 pounds. It's about the size of a large grapefruit. It looks kind of like a boxing glove taken from the side, and is made up of billions and billions of tiny little neurons, little neurotransceivers. And if you cut the brain with a sharp knife, it has the consistency of a hard cheese. But it is broken up into a number of different regions or lobes and structures, and we spend a good deal of time understanding what those lobes and structures do. Now here's a quick test to show you the different properties of the brain, the different sides, in fact. The simple way to do this is to just shout out as quickly as you can the different words on the left side: yellow, blue, orange, black, blah, 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 all the way to the end. Do that and see how long it takes you. And then you do it again. Only this time, you say the color, not the word. That means the first word is green. And then the next one is red. So compare the two answers in terms of how long it takes to do it the first way, saying the word, and the second way, saying the color, and see how they compare. You're welcome to pause and then come back, and I'll give you the reason why that happens. So by all means, take a break, get your data, and then come on back. All right, I'm assuming you paused and you came back. So welcome back. It did take longer, didn't it? And the reason is because you have two regions or hemispheres, two halves of the brain, kind of like two brains in one skull. And on the left side, which in this picture is the down part of this brain, deals happily with language. So it can say the words on and on and on. So yellow, blue, orange, black, it'll be very happy to do that. It doesn't know colors. It knows words for colors, but it doesn't know colors. That's on the right side, which is featured here on the top. So when you run this task asking for the color, it's another step. You have to figure what the color is, and then go over to the left side and grab a word for it. This slows things down. So the right side deals with colors, and the left side deals with language, deals with words. And so there's a nifty little bridge between the hemispheres that will share that information. But if you sever that bridge, which can be prescribed by a doctor trying to relieve some very, very severe epilepsy, you get some astounding effects. And so that's what we'll talk about when you come to psychology. One of students' most favorite chapters that we review is on consciousness. And this includes sleep and dreams and the sleep-wake cycle. And that is typically prompted when the shadow of night crawls across the earth. And you can see this curved shadow as it falls over Africa and Europe. But there are very predictable daily or circadian changes that take place in the body. There's physiological changes. And so we talk about the differences between, say, morning people and night people, and the other very predictable physiological changes therein. Now, you may have heard it, maybe you exhibited it, but that cute little baby is enough to exhibit an awe response. The awe response, and it's not just the cute little kids, it's cute little puppies and kitties and penguins and bunnies and all sorts of cute things. But that is not learned behavior. It's wired in you naturally. It's nature's way of protecting young from monsters like you who might, be looking for a meal. So out in the wild, before other creatures, you may not make it, but your young have a chance because they look cute. And not just you, but other mammals, for instance, will, tilt their head in awe of these cute little critters. But it's not learned. So we need to understand what is learned and what is learning, and that what they're after is actually wired in us. To look at learning is to consider escape rooms, where you're given a number of puzzles. They typically link together. And when often you don't know what steps to take, you try different things. And if it works, stick with it. So that's trial and error learning, and it works very well in an escape room. Now, learning is closely tied to memory. You wouldn't be an especially productive individual if you had to relearn all the time how to tie your shoes, or what's 2 + 1, or how to drive a car. So we need a memory bank for this. And in our memory chapter, we even look at supplements like ginkgo biloba. It's even fun to say, right? Ginkgo biloba. It's a supplement that claims to improve your memory. So I went out and got some, and I'd like to tell you that it works, but I keep forgetting to take it. Both learning and memory are themselves connected to a wider field of mental processes, what we call cognitive psychology. This further includes perception, intelligence, problem solving, and even pattern recognition. It's kind of the buzz right now. Everyone's talking about cognition. But one central question that we still struggle with is under the heading of cognitive psychology, but in the subfield of language. To what extent does your language prepare you for some things and then inhibit you from others? In other words, if you don't have the words in your language, are there things you simply can't experience or think about? Or maybe you see them a different way compared to other people. Consider the Quechua tribe who live in the mountains of Peru. That's where they do their farming. There is not a flat surface to be found. And their language doesn't have a word for flat. But what if you brought them out to the Canadian prairies or out to Windsor, Essex County, where it is so flat, you look out on a clear day, you can see the back of your head. That's how flat it is out here. So what would it mean? How would they describe it? Would they have the same experience as you and me? We look at emotions. And these can be positive, like joy and surprise and love, but we can have some negative emotions too. So we delve into the source of those and, frankly, how they tie in sharply to physiological brain processes. We look at development from womb to tomb, from cradle to grave. We do it all. We change. We get bigger. We get smarter, but in a more qualitative way. Like just a whole new program, like a 2.0, got downloaded one day, and suddenly you don't believe in Santa Claus. It doesn't make any sense anymore. And we change in our personalities. So we track all those changes as we watch you grow. We look at intelligence, another subfield of the cognitive area. And whether it's personality or it's intelligence, there is a strong genetic component. Pick your parents very carefully. That's the advice, because their features, again, whether personality or intelligence or even some social attitudes, like on the death penalty, come to you through a genetic avenue. So we can compare, looking at identical twins and fraternal twins, what you may know about one twin when you met the other one. How parallel, how close, how correlated are the two? Well, it depends on what we're talking about. Certainly, with respect to sex, they have to be the same for an identical twin. But is that true about personality? If one is outgoing, the other has to be? Well, they don't have to be, but they are. They very much are the same. So it's a strong genetic link in intelligence and personality. And finally, at least for our discussions, we look at psychological disorders. We look at some of the more severe cases of schizophrenia. We look at more common cases of depression and anxiety, and realize that this is our story. It's not about looking outside at those people, because whether it's not us, it's going to be someone we care about. So it's an important chapter that we need to cover. So with that preview, I've given you a taste of the variety of chapters that we're going to cover in those first two courses that start you off. But let's perhaps dig a little more, drill down into what it means to be a psychology major here at Windsor. As a psychology major, it means that you are taking the bulk of your courses from our department. Now, you can choose to do a single major, or you could do a double major, and there's 200 different majors here at the University of Windsor. There's a lot that you can pick from. But as a major, it's making up the bulk, more than half of the courses that you're taking. Now, you don't have to declare a major right away. You may just want to start out with some courses and see what fits, and then go from there. That's a great idea. So the whole intention is to get you to the end of your degree with an education that you're proud of. But maybe you don't want a major in psychology, but you want some. And maybe you want enough to declare a minor. This is a mere 6 courses. It's not much. So you get your 2 intros plus any 4 extra. So it's not a major area of study, but you did enough that you could call that a minor. And there's 50-some minors that you can enroll in at the university. This is useful if you are really on the fence and you're able to at least say, I like psychology more than I do criminology. So crim will be my minor, psychology my major. Or maybe women's studies will be your major and psychology will be your minor. Listen to your heart. The first semester is made up of these key chapters in your textbook: psychology and scientific thinking, research methods. We go into the biology and the brain. We look at sensation and perception and a bunch of crazy illusions. There's consciousness. We do learning and memory and cover both emotion and motivation. In the second semester, the other half of the textbook, we cover topics in cognition, including intelligence. We look at human development. It's important for students to understand the nature of stress and how to cope with it in an effort to keep their health up and running. We look at social psychology and personality. And then we take on psychological disorders and their treatment. For our introductory psychology class here at Windsor, we have mentors in place. Mentors were former introductory majors. They were first years just like you. Now, in their 3rd or 4th year, they've come back. And in some forms of this, they may be in the classroom with you, engaging in small group work. It may mean that they are preparing study materials for you, but they're most typically reaching out as a buddy system, saying, I've been through this. I can help you with any questions you've got. please reach out. So they're going to reach out to you, but then you can reach out to them. Other courses available in the psychology department show specializations in personality, the child, the adolescent, even later aging. We look at psychological disorders and sex and gender. Still, too, we have methodology courses like social science research methods, there's test and measurement. And then upwards into the third year, we have child psychopathology, human cognition, that's neuroscience. We have health psychology and even psychology of the family. So this is just a sample of what's available as specializing courses into the second, third, and fourth year. Before leaving our programs, let me take a moment to describe an integrated subfield that we've spearheaded along with integrated biology called neuroscience. Let's say you don't want to step too far away from your basic sciences, and this might be right up your alley. The goal here is to understand brain function at the molecular, behavioral, and cognitive levels. There's currently 45 students enrolled. That's from first to fourth year. And students will remain active and involved in their program right from the start. They get hooked into labs, including faculty interests like the following. There's ornithology, that's study of birds, behavioral ecology, you're looking at animal cognition, sensory biology, there's behavioral genetics, even programmed cell death and aging, and computational neuroscience. This is the up-and-coming field. Let me take a moment here to differentiate between what we mean by education and by a degree. So your degree will help you get a job, but it's your education that will let you keep it. Your degree is that piece of paper that you get at the end of your 3, 4, 5 years that you present to an employer. But the skills and the experiences that you hoped to acquire from obtaining your degree will belong to your education. So a university's job is to give you more than just your degree. Its effort is to train leaders. And those leaders demonstrate clear and concise writing. They show critical thinking. They're adept at data analysis and interpretation. They will be comfortable in oral presentations. But first and foremost, the big one is working in teams. No point do we find individuals just standing alone on an island. They are always reaching out to some other specialist. So that way we, can drill down in our skill set, but then we reach out across the table at someone else to say, it's your turn on this project, take it away. Right? So working in teams in your university experience offers the education you need to be successful following your degree. This helps you appreciate what comes in the form of hard and soft skills, in particular in jobs that have not even been invented yet. That's how fast things are moving. Now, hard skills typically appear on the degree itself. So you come out of engineering, you're an engineer. You come out of nursing, and you're a nurse. You come out of computer science, and you're a program. You're a programmer. So that's not difficult. But no matter the hard skills, employers are looking at soft skills. These are the skills that will make you successful wherever you go. This includes critical thinking, data management. This is clear and concise writing. It's oral presentation skills and a good work ethic. You got to learn to work with others. That's interpersonal. But most important is teamwork. Building teams, sharing information clearly and concisely, and this will sell. At the interview, at the resume stage, when they're choosing candidates, it's important for you to showcase these experiences in your university education. That's the difference. The degree lets you get a job, but the education lets you keep it, because that's what's going to wow the socks off of your employer. I guess employers don't need socks. It's important, too, to realize the doors that open up for you following a psychology undergraduate degree. This can either be future careers or your springboard into graduate programs. Graduate programs may include clinical psychology, child psychology, forensics, and even health. And health is the big up-and-comer. This can open the door for medical school or psychiatry. Many graduates go off into law or even addiction counseling. Some, too, will pursue academics, whether it's in teaching or research. There's also the opportunity for more business end, including human resources and business administration. That, too, is a parallel to fields like communications or government or even law enforcement. I could keep going because the number of different possibilities is really endless. If you have questions, and I'm sure you do, just write to us. We have academic advisors. We're working around the clock. Just write to us at psychology@uwindsor.ca. Before setting you loose on the world, however, I want to share with you one perspective from holiday favorites. And one of my favorites is the Polar Express. At the end of the story, when the hero boy is saying farewell to the train conductor, and he thanks him, and the conductor says, "No, thank you. You know, there's one thing about trains," he says to the boy, one thing. It doesn't matter where they're going. What matters is deciding to get on. Now, those words are important, especially in light of a train, which is a symbol of a journey, just in the same way that you're on your journey. It doesn't matter where it's going to go. It's about you choosing to get on board, to own that degree, that education, and squeeze every single drop you can out of this experience. This is a very, very exciting time for you. And I'm getting chills on your behalf. I just want you to know that it's not about where this degree is going to take you. It'll always take you somewhere marvelous because you're guiding that train. You're making those choices. But you got to get on. You got to jump on board and own it. You own that education. Be a part of it. And that's what's exciting about these next steps forward. Once again, I would like to thank you for joining us for this open house and the very best for you in all of your academic pursuits. Thank you.